Hi guys, welcome back again to my YouTube channel. In today's tutorial, I'll be sharing with you guys how to make a pattern for a milkmaid top. It is very simple, and if this is what you're interested in learning, please keep on watching. If you're here to subscribe, please subscribe and let's get started. From the top of my paper, I came down by 1 inch and then marked that into a straight line. Now this line is going to be the shoulder line, and from this shoulder line I'm going to come down to 10 inches bust point, 14 inches under bust point, 17 inches waistline, and then 23 inches for the top length. I'm going to draw my line across and then label all my line. I have the shoulder line, bust point line, under bust line, waistline, and then the top length. I'll move over to the shoulder line and then divide my shoulder into 2 equal halves. So I'll mark down 8 inches. This is including the half an inch seam allowance because my shoulder is 15 inches. Now from this shoulder point, I'm going to come down by 1 inch for the shoulder slope, and I'll mark out the neck width and the neck depth. So I'll do that with 3.5 inches respectively. I'll go ahead and connect my shoulder width and the shoulder depth together and connect it into the shoulder slope. Now I'll place my tape on the shoulder slope and then divide my bust circumference by 6, add 1.5 inches to it to get the chest line. So my chest line from the shoulder slope is 8 inches, and I'm going to ensure that I have my shoulder divided by 2 on this same chest line and connect to the shoulder slope. So this will give us the chest line. Now next step I'm going to take is divide the armhole depth into 2, which is 4, and then go in by half an inch. Now after that, I'll move over to the chest line and divide my bust circumference by 4. Whatever you have, go ahead and mark it down. And next thing is to connect these points together. So I'll connect the 3 dots together to give me my armhole curve. And next thing I want to do is divide my nipple to nipple measurement by 2. So nipple to nipple measurement I'll be using is 8 divided by 2, which is 4. I'll mark it on the bust point line, under bust point line, waistline, and the top length, and I'll connect these points together using my straight ruler. Now after this, I'll move over to the under bust point, and from the center fold I'll go up by 1 inch, and then I'll move over to the waistline and mark out my dart intake. I'll be making use of 1.5 inches, which I'm going to share equally on both sides using 3/4 of an inch. On the bust point line, I'm going to come down by 1 inch and then connect my dart legs together. Now after this, I'll move over to the 1 inch that I marked above the under bust point and then connect it into the under bust point, just like this. And you see, and then remember that my nipple to nipple measurement is 4, so I'm going to mark it on the side front again, but this time I'm going to add half an inch because our boobs are always bigger by the side. So I'll go ahead and mark out 4.5 inches by the side and then connect it into the under bust back leg and equally raise it up to the chest line. So you can see the one I'm trying to connect this. So after that, next thing I will do now is mark out my body measurement. So on the bust point line, I'm going to divide my bust circumference by 4, mark it down, which is 10 inches, and then add 1.5 inches for sewing allowance. I'll do the same thing on the chest line. I'll move over to the under bust point, divide my under bust circumference by 4. I'll mark down 9 inches, and then remember that I took out like about 3/4 of an inch from that place. I'll add it up and then add 1.5 inches for my sewing allowance. So in total I added 2.25 inches. Now on the waistline, I'll divide my waist circumference by 4 and then replace the 1.5 inches, that intake, plus 1.5 inches for my sewing allowance. So I'll mark down 9.75 inches, which is my waist divided by 4, replace 1.5 inches for the dart intake, and then add 1.5 inches for the sewing allowance. Now I'll move over to the top length, and on this top length I'm going to divide my hip circumference by 4, add it up, and then add 1.5 inches for my sewing allowance. And I'll go ahead and connect all these points together. Now it might seem as though the waistline is too outward. Please ignore that, because when you hold in your dart, it's going to come back to normal. Now right on the hem, I'm going to come up by 1.5 inches because I want to give the hem a little curve, and then connect it back to the nipple to nipple line. So guys, now that we are done, we are going to have to mark out the neck depth, because the previous neck depth we are not going to make use of that. Now on the chest line, I'm going to draw it across to the center fold like this, and then from that chest line I'm going to go up by 1 inch. This is where I want my neck depth to start. Okay, now if you want it to start on the chest line, you can go ahead and leave it on that point. So now I'm going to use my curve to give it a shape just like this. But if you want yours to be straight, you can leave it like that. Okay, now we are done, and next thing is for us to cut this out. Okay, so guys, to cut off the hem, I'm going to be adding about 0.75 inches for my hemming allowance. And now I'm going ahead to cut off the neck depths and then cut off the cup. So you can see later on we are going to cut off the darts, but for now we are going to leave it this way. And then let's go ahead and work on the back. So guys, here is the back. This is my fresh pattern paper, and as you can see, I've marked out the zipper allowance, the shoulder line, the bust point, waistline, and then the top length. So this is my easiest way of drafting out my back patterns. Okay, so as you can see, I've brought in the front pattern and then place it after the zipper allowance, ensuring that the points on my fronts are aligning with the points I marked out on the back. Okay, so now I'm going to use my pins to hold it down in place, and the first thing I'm going to do is note my darts. So I'm going to use my marker to trace out my darts, and then after that, next I'm going to do is ensure that my sides, okay, which is the top of my side for the fronts, aligns with the side of my back. And now I'm going to determine the neck depth of the back. Okay, now for the neck depth, I'm going to leave it on the bust point line. So I connected to the side seam, And next thing I'm going to do is make sure that they align again, and then I'm going to trace out what I have on the front using a broken line. You can see what I'm doing. This is not the actual line. I'm still going to connect it properly. Now that I'm done, remove my front pattern and then use my ruler to trace it out properly well. Now after this, guys, I'm going to mark out my darts. So for my darts, I'm still going to leave it at the same point, but this time my dart is going to start on the bust point. Okay, because our dart for the back usually starts 1 inch below the chest line. All right, I hope you guys understand. So now I'm trying to connect my dart legs, and once I'm done with this, you guys, we are going to tighten the waistline of our zip to avoid any form of bulging around the zipper area. Okay, so on the waistline I'm going to go in by 1 inch and then connect it back to the bust point and then the top length. Now after that, I'm now going to input my zipper allowance again. So from that waist 1 inch that I took in on the waist, I'm going to mark outward 1.5 inches and then connect it back to the bust point just like this, and then to the top lengths. So guys, we are done with the back block, and now we are going to go ahead and cut it out. So guys, once I'm done cutting this out, this is both the front and the back and equally the cup. So I'm going to go ahead and cut off the darts. After doing that for the front, I'm going to repeat the same thing for the back. So as you can see, I'm done cutting out the front. I'm going to repeat the same thing for the back. So guys, as you can see, I am done cutting off the darts. Now I'm going to label my blocks so I won't get myself confused. I have the CF, the SF, the CB, and the SB. Now I'm going to put these two blocks away, and then next we are going to work on this cup because we need our cup to be fuller. And to do that, I'm going to divide this cup into 9 equal places. So what I did was to use 1 inch in between the lines. So as you can see, I am done, and I'm going to label it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So now I'm going to go ahead and label the center and the side. Okay, and then equally go ahead and slash it. So as you can see, I'm trying to cut this out, and once I am done, I'm going to bring in another paper so that we can spread this out to have a fuller cup. Now I'm going to mark out a horizontal line, and this horizontal line is going to serve as a guide to spread out these papers. Now I'm going to start with the number 1. I've placed it in, making sure that it doesn't exceed that line, and then the second one I'm going to bring it in and make sure that they are 2 inches away from each other. I'm going to repeat the same thing until I get to the last one, which is number 9. Now you guys, you want to spread it out using about 1.5 inches to 3 inches. Don't make use of 1 inch because you might not end up having a fuller cup if you make use of 1 inch. Now after that, I went ahead to trace out my lines, as you can see, and then you can see this tiny armhole right there. I also traced it out, and then once I'm done, I'm going to cut off what I have. So guys, as you can see, I'm trying to cut it out, and once I am done, I'll be showing you both the front and the back block. Here is where we'll be ending this tutorial. If you find it helpful, please do make sure to give it a thumbs up. And you guys, if you want to see the sewing part of this tutorial, please ensure to click on the subscribe button, turn on your post notification to get notified once I upload a new video. I will see you guys in the sewing part of this tutorial. Bye.